Hello, you're watching Hornbill TV's Explanatory. While India is busy in anticipation of the Lok Sabha 2024 elections, even the developed countries of the world will be watching closely and observing how India conducts the world's largest festival of democracy. Eyes will also be on which government comes to power, as that would also have a big impact on how India decides its foreign policy towards other nations. In this regard, the relationship between India and its neighbor China has been seeing some traction ever since the month of April. In today's explanatory, the focus will be on India and China relations, especially on the line of actual control and the diplomatic relations that has not always been sweet, yet not always sour. Controversy erupted once again at the start of the month of April when the Chinese Ministry of Civil Affairs renamed 30 more places in Arunachal Pradesh to lay claim to what it called Zagnan, or part of the Tibetan Autonomous Region, South China Morning Post reported. The ministry published the country's latest set of standardized names, which included 11 residential areas, 12 mountains, 4 rivers, 1 lake, 1 mountain pass, and a piece of land. The names of the places it has renamed is not yet known. According to the SCMP report, each of these names were presented in Chinese characters, Tibetan script, and Pinyin, which represents the Roman alphabet version of Mandarin Chinese. Last year too, in April, China's Ministry of Civil Affairs had released third set of 11 places, including 2 land areas, 2 residential areas, 5 mountain peaks, and 2 rivers, and listed the category of places names and their subordinate administrative districts, which it had renamed, state-run Global Times had reported. The first batch of the standardized names of 6 places in Arunachal was released in 2017, and the second batch of 15 places was issued in 2021. Ministry of External Affairs spokesperson Randir Jaiswal on the controversy had said that Beijing may repeat its baseless claims as many times as it wants, but that is not going to change New Delhi's position that Arunachal Pradesh was, is, and will always remain an integral and inalienable part of the country. His comment came days after Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Lin Jian reiterated China's claim. Recently, the Chinese military had also criticized the US for its assertion that Arunachal Pradesh is part of India, stating that India and China have mature mechanisms, communication channels, ability and willingness to properly handle the border issue through dialogue and consultations. Asked about the latest move, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar told reporters, "If today I change the name of your house, will it become mine? Arunachal Pradesh was, is, and will always be a state of India. Changing names does not have an effect."
देखिए, ऐसा है, अगर कोई मैं आपके घर का नाम बदल दूं तो मेरा घर बन जाएगा क्या? अरुणाचल प्रदेश भारत का स्टेट है, पहले भी था, अभी भी है, आगे भी रहेगा। तो ये नाम बदलने से कुछ नहीं होता। और ये लद्दाख का विषय जो है, नहीं, एक्टिविस्ट होते हैं, अब एक्टिविस्ट के अपने विचार होते हैं। आप सब जानते हैं कि हमारी सेना जो है वो सीमा पे अगर जो भी कोशिश हो सीमा में लाइन ऑफ एक्चुअल कंट्रोल का उल्लंघन करने में, हमारी सेना जो है वहाँ डिप्लॉय हो चुकी है। वहाँ उनको जो भी करना है वो जानते हैं क्या करना है।
But in the latest development between the relation between India and China, during a rare interview with Newsweek magazine, PM Modi said that India and China must urgently address their border disputes to improve bilateral relations. China and India have made positive progress to resolve the border standoff, with both sides maintaining close communication through diplomatic and military channels, a senior foreign ministry official said. The foreign ministry spokesperson Mao Ning's remarks were a further elaboration of China's reaction to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's recent statement, in which he said that ties with Beijing are important for New Delhi and the prolonged situation at the borders should be addressed urgently. In the interview with Newsweek magazine, Prime Minister Modi expressed hope that through positive and constructive bilateral engagement at the diplomatic and military levels, the two countries will be able to restore and sustain peace and tranquility at their borders. Prime Minister Modi also mentioned that having stable and peaceful relations between India and China is crucial, not just for both countries but for the whole region and the world. He expressed hope and belief that by engaging in positive and constructive talks at both diplomatic and military levels, they can bring back peace and calmness to their borders. China and India are in close communication through diplomatic and military channels to address issues related to the border situation. and have achieved positive progress, Ms. Mao told a media briefing here in response to a question on Modi's interview with Newsweek. China believes that a sound and stable relationship is in the interest of both China and India, she said. We hope that India will work with China to place the boundary question appropriately in bilateral relations and manage it properly, and put the relationship on a sound and steady track, Ms. Mao said. The relations between India and China have been frozen except for trade ties ever since the Eastern Ladakh border standoff erupted on May 5, 2020, following a violent clash in the Pangong Tso Lake area. The two sides have so far held 21 rounds of Corps Commander level talks to resolve the standoff. While responding to a question on PM Modi's interview on, Ms. Mao had said that China had noted the PM's remarks. Sound and stable China-India relations serves the interest of both countries and are conducive to peace and development in the region and beyond, she said. On the boundary question, Ms. Mao had reiterated China's oft-repeated stand that it does not represent the entirety of China-India relations and it should be placed appropriately in bilateral relations and managed properly. However, India has maintained that there cannot be restoration of normalcy in its relation with China as long as the state of the borders remain abnormal. Ms. Mao said both countries maintain close communication through diplomatic and military channels on handling issues related to the border situation and have made positive progress. According to the Chinese military, the two sides so far agreed to disengage from 4 points, namely the Galwan Valley, the Pangong Lake, Hot Springs, and Jianan Daban Gogra. India is pressing the People's Liberation Army to disengage from the Depsang and Demchok areas, maintaining that there cannot be restoration of normalcy in its relation with China as long as the border remains tense. Congress leader Rahul Gandhi, on his maiden visit to Ladakh post revocation of Article 370, said that China has taken away India's land and people are not allowed to graze their cattle there. Over here, the concern is, of course, the land that has been taken away by China. People here have been affected in a big way because their grazing lands have been taken away, he had said. Now the question remains is whether land has actually been taken, as the PM has denied these allegations clearly. With the election approaching and a new government to be formed by June of this year or July, will India change its approach in dealing with China on the contentious border row, or will India continue to follow the same approach, is what needs to be seen. For more explainaries like this, keep watching Hornbill TV. Goodbye.